This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is John Strange.
So when you worked in sales, you were deployed. Deployed is not the right word.
Sent out
to certain neighborhoods, knowing that you'll have challenges there. Your boss knew that.
Oh, yeah.
And talk to me about those challenges and how it did not let you earn any money that year.
A couple of years, actually.
Oh, wow.
I worked, I finished off I had a lot of different careers in sales. Sales was what I basically did, I guess, from the time I was 29 until I retired when I was 66 in a variety of industries. Sales indeed does turn out to be sales, whatever the product is. But I ended up designing bathrooms and kitchens. I don't think I'm going to name the company. It's a big company. And I had a boss who, for some reason, did not like me and did not like a couple of other people. And he was in charge of assigning who you went to see. We had it's one of those deals where you show up at somebody's house, you show them all the samples. Say it's a kitchen. You show up, you show them all the door samples, and all the colors and all the countertop samples and all the colors. You look at their kitchen, you discuss what they want to have. You literally design the whole layout like you're an architect. While you're there, show it to them, price the entire thing out, give them the price. And you explain to them, and some people didn't do this, some people did do this. I would explain to them when I first walked into the door is the best price I can give you is the prices I can give you today. And that's a very, very well-known technique. You get a window guy comes over, you get a roof guy comes over. All these guys, they're always going to say the best price I can give you today. Even if they don't tell you that, they come out and say, well, if you do it today, I can give you this, type of thing. And then at the end, they're going to go, well, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you then because you didn't accept any of these things, that type of thing. But I would tell them, I'm going to be honest. This is what I can do for you. And, people would take it with a grain of salt. But there are certain neighborhoods that you just know that you have, at the most, a 10% chance of selling. And an average appointment, I would get maybe 2 or 3 a day. An average appointment is 3 hours. Okay.
So for 3 hours, you explain and you talk them into buying that stuff, and they'd say, "Oh, you're selling it for $20, and sell me this thing for $10."
And the thing is,
and then I buy it.
You kind of hope that in the beginning, when you say, "Look, I'm going to ask you," and I would do it. I said, "Look, I'm going to ask you at the end of my presentation, is this a price that you can afford? Yes. Do you like the product? Yes. Would you like to purchase this today?" And if you say no, I am going to have to say, "I'm very sorry. There's nothing else. There was one discount I can give them. This is what I can do for you today, period." And if you go, "I'd like to think about it," I'm going to have to say, "Well, I'm very sorry. The price, the discount that I just gave you is no longer available after today. It's going to go back to this price." And they would go, "Oh, I'm sure your boss is going to be able to get." I would go, "No, the company policy is this is the price." I would either they would go, "Oh, I know I'm going to be able to get that price, so I call you up in a week." And I would go, "No, you're not." Or I would get why don't you call your boss up now? I'm sure he can take some more money off. And I would go, no, he won't. And there was this belief that, you know, I could do something different. And I would say to them, I tried to explain to you in the very beginning, I can only do this. If you'd like to buy it, this is the best I can ever do, and it's only today. And I would constantly, in the last 2 years of my career, and I never did anything to, you know, he subsequently was fired for some questionable practices.
Your boss.
My boss.
Yeah.
In fact, interesting, I'll tell you in 2 seconds. But he would keep sending me out, and I would make some occasional sales. And I'm in the beginning, I did very, very, very well until he came over. He worked at my level at another company before I moved over to the company I was. I got headhunted over to where I was because I was doing so well at the other company. And I don't know if it was a competitive thing or whatever the heck it was. But
some people, I think, in my view, some people just feel insecure of certain people around them.
I
think so. That's why they try to develop that control mechanism, or they try to destroy the other people. What if, I don't know this guy, what if he was just a sadist?
I know
there are people around us.
I'm a very, which you know from working with me for years now, I'm a very logical thinker. You know, I'll look at a problem and I see, you know, what may work, what may not work, what will work. And I approach everything from that point of view. I don't usually take an emotional, you know, attack on anything. And I'm usually pretty good at, you know, my judgments on how to do things. Usually very, very accurate. He was not that kind of person. You know, he was.
Speaking of judgment, let me actually also say, so, for example, I got a car last year.
Right, I remember.
And following your footsteps. And the first gentleman, the car salesman I met, and I did a test drive and all that, I could sense he was a thorough gentleman. He mentioned he was newly married and he joined this dealership a month ago, right? That's enough for me to discern whether or not he's telling a lie or speaking the truth, right?
Okay.
Because we humans are very intelligent. And if I keep pestering or imposing my belief system that no, he's got to do something more for me, where he's saying, like in your case, that I can't, I think that might be too much, or that might be wrong. Why? Because I remember we talked about this years ago, but it stuck in my head. The attitude of these people who were your potential clients make you not earn any money those 2 years, right? You struggled with an inflationary in your household.
Right.
Now, I always say the only thing where I am a bit careful is tipping people more than they should be, because then I have seen, especially nearby these wealthy neighborhoods, the person who is a regular and the one who tips more than the other, the staff gets more, you know, inclined to serve them better. But if it's where you are buying something and a human is involved and you know the story and you know they'll get a commission or a percentage, if you think that you are paying $10, $20 extra, I don't think that 20 or $10 will either make them wealthy or make you poor.
Right.
Because you were dealing with more middle class or people who were not starving to death.
Correct.
And I think that belief system of being generous and being a listener, again, when you listen to someone's story, in my case, the guy newly married, he was at this dealership a month ago. He joined this, and he was a family man, right? So I should have been more careful in my approach to a fellow community member. And I think that piece was missing too, in addition to your boss being a-hole. I don't know, yeah. And I didn't know the guy, but that was very sad. And I think that starts with what's your belief system about the other human being. Yeah. And do you trust them? Do you not? And especially if your gut is telling you that they are speaking the truth, in that moment, that truth should be the driving force for you to say, okay, I'll buy and help him out because he's just selling it to make his living.
Right. Yeah, I mean, most people, I honestly can't say that anybody didn't really like the designs I came up with and the ideas I came up with. What they just didn't like is they thought it would be cheaper.
Or they were just forcing their idea to sell it at a lower cost than you said you were able to. Right?
Exactly right. They didn't want to spend 10,000, they wanted to spend 6,000. Didn't want to spend 20, they wanted to spend 15. That kind of thing. So, I made, my last year I made $8,000 in a whole year.
Wow.
Give me an example. And so I quit. I quit halfway through the year, so I'm about 600. And I quit. And I actually said, what the hell? Now, you can't get unemployment insurance if you quit a job. Only if you get fired. And you can prove that you get fired and it was unjust. So I decided to apply for unemployment insurance even though I quit. And I put down when I spoke to the person, I put down that I had quit because I was being harassed and treated unjustly on a job. Essentially, discriminatory behavior against me. And I won.
Oh, wow.
I won. She tried to contact my boss on several occasions, both written and verbal on the phone, and he never answered her. And she said, well, I can only judge from, his reaction to me that you're being truthful. So I got unemployment insurance.
And you were still at HV Studio? When you finished?
No, I had stopped at HV Studio. I stayed at HV Studio for about 6 years or so.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Longer than a conservatory training.
Yeah. Well, because you could sign up for individual classes.
Yes. I think they still have the same.
Yeah, they still have the same thing.
Yeah.
So, I would do scene study, advanced scene study. I studied voice for a while. And then for some obscure reason, I developed allergies. And the allergies totally changed my voice. My singing voice. And couldn't sing anymore after that. Couldn't get tonal quality.
So I want to hear your perspective.
Pritzi's Honor. Pritzi's Honor is those that Bill was in.
Oh, okay.
Angelica Houston won the Academy Award for her role in that.
Yesterday were the Academy Awards.
No?
Did you watch?
Yeah,
last
I did.
night?
Of course.
Did you like the way the industry is going? The direction?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm a film nut.
Yeah. We'll talk about that definitely. Yeah. But I want to talk to you about these challenges over the period of time when we change, our bodies change, our voice change. So I've seen a lot of actors struggling with that. Because now they are not that skinny, or their voice is not that resonant. Even my voice has changed.
Yeah, your voice has changed since I've known you.
terrible allergies, and I spray every morning, and
and like I'm gravelly today because my medication
every night.
And
also the other health conditions, I can't really work out for a long period of time because of the spiking pain and all that. I'm better, but so these things are part of life. But those of us who have struggled, or they just like can't accept that reality of change, how would you say you dealt with that?
Well, let's see, I was trying to figure out how many years have you and I known each other? 8 years. Obviously, you've given this thought. So 8 years ago, I mean...
No, wait, 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
You have watched me
go up and down.
Up and down and weight tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you and I shot Abrogation 5 years ago, this suit, I could barely, by sucking in my stomach, get it buttoned. This suit now is big on me, quite frankly. If I were to not wear suspenders, these pants would just fall right off of me. And I've been at all stages in between, up and down. I had more hair 8 years ago. Luckily, I still have a lot of hair, but I had more hair 8 years ago.
Your voice was, I want to say, more stronger.
It's a little bit more gravelly now.
Yeah.
I think I can get away with more because I'm older now, especially in the last decade. I mean, I'm lucky I don't look 74.
Yeah, definitely.
Which certainly helps. But even so, I think
especially when you color your hair and play
I don't
creepy face.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were in it. I remember.
I think that's so funny is that two of the things I've done, I have had to be a creepy minister.
Yeah. No, not an abrogation though.
Well, I'm not creepy, but I'm not nice.
But we see the journey being transformed. Right. Going back to your call originally.
I know. And then the other one I did, I was, creepy because I was sneaking peeks at this one parishioner that I liked, but me personally, I think I'm more self-aware when I'm heavier. I'm limited to, I think, different type. Well, actually, I think I'm limited because of my age to different types of roles. Anyway, there's a certain category I fit into now. It's like maybe the older father, or the younger grandfather.
And you were at peace with that.
Yeah.
But when you lost your, I'm phrasing it that way. When you lost the ability to sing, you probably came to an understanding you can't be a Broadway singer anymore. So how did you deal with that?
That was disappointing because I was actually getting, there's this technique they say you sing through a hole in the top of your head. Which is how I was being taught.
That's the way my teacher taught too.
And I was actually getting really good. My teacher actually thought I was really developing a really good voice. And then it was so strange. I developed sinus, issues, and my voice just went sour. And no matter what I could do when I was singing, I just never could keep all the notes, where they were supposed to be. I wanted to be at least a double threat, not a single threat. And it always came back down to now just a single threat, which is was a little bit disappointing. Never tried to dance.
But it didn't you didn't let it affect you to the point now you were depressed and you became an alcoholic and you can't function because you
I'm not saying I didn't become an alcoholic.
That's a little different. Yeah.
No, it didn't make me depressed.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it was a joke.
That was a joke.
Yeah. So.
No, it didn't make me depressed. Disappointed, but
you didn't let it. I would say that you dealt with it. Embracing reality.
I took 3 years of voice lessons, and so there was a certain investment in it. So it was a disappointment. And plus, I like to sing. I'm one of these people, who always, it's like everybody else, you sing in the shower, you sing in the car, you sing in the apartment and stuff like that. And to me, I sound great, but I know I don't.
No, I only sing to myself when I think, oh, I should warm up. So that, and, otherwise I try not to.
Yeah.
So people could be, oh my God, Franklin, shut up. So,
well, I say that to you all the time. Anyway.
I know, yeah. So, I am so opinionated. What would be the right word? Especially if I'm directing a project. Right?
Yeah.
So then I am so. I've been told I go nuts and I'm so crazy and.
You're extremely focused.
Okay.
You get focused.
But as an audience member, like if you're watching me going like, oh, right. So do you like that? Or you're like, oh.
You mean as a director or as an actor?
No, when you were as an actor, but you're also an audience member. Right. You can say there's a scene between you and someone else, and I'm giving my speech to them. Look, listen, what's your objective? Look, when you are playing your objective, your outcome has to be your scene partner.
The funny thing is you have very, 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 very rarely ever asked me what my objective was and what my purpose was or anything like that. You just said, go.
I think the difference is...
And I've done my thing, and you said, all right, good. Or maybe you said, I want you to tweak this, and I went, but you've never ever asked me, like, why are you doing it this way? Why are you saying it this way?
I think with you, we have more takes just to have a save file, an additional file. It's not because of the tweet. The difference is...
I don't know if that is because I'm doing... I have...
Oh, that's because I'm too nice to you.
Yeah, you're too nice to me. I mean, I personally, subjectively, never think I'm any good. I'm one of those guys. I look at myself on film and I go,
a lot of us feel the same way, yeah.
And then I have other people look at it, and like my best friend was watching one of the early cuts of the film the other day, and she was crying, and she goes, "You're so good." I went, really?
Has she seen the final cut?
Yeah, no,
no.
But she was going to see. She was supposed to watch it this week. Now. But she was like crying.
One of the strengths, I think, in our movie is, which we already agreed on. Remember when we were watching the female leads, these, what do we call that? Audition tapes.
Yes.
So I still remember your objective was that she shouldn't look like an actress.
Right.
And like people who get theatrically trained, most of these schools are theatrically, they have that, they use a lot of eyes and all, I don't do that. So, I think the strength is all these characters don't look like actors playing those characters. Instead, they look like the characters.
Right.
Which might be controversial for some of us, that we didn't really, the colors and the way they dressed up and everything that we had wasn't perfect. Like, we didn't care about, as an example, jawline of the male cast members, or even the church we filmed at. There are a few things, now I'm giving like spoiler.
Right.
So we did not really make it perfect, because sometimes you'll see a scene in big production. There are tons of people in the church, which is so not true, because a lot of people, they have left the church, and usually churches are of few people, a large building with a very few people. That's why we went after that. And then the candles were not lit because we wanted it to look more like an ecumenical and not tell what kind of denomination or tradition this church aligns to.
Right.
So a friend of mine, a writer,
yes,
he has also written a couple of movies. You have acted in one of them. He has a YouTube and other couple of places he does like this review of movies and trailers. So I asked him, why don't you do our movies? Yeah. trailer, our movie's review that we did. And I think one thing I remember, he pointed out that we didn't talk about what kind of Christian tradition, but that was the intention. So people identify, because you can have a tradition and their belief system in their book might be different than what they're practicing. And I think that's why you probably chose. I don't remember. It's been a while we talked about the script, but you chose to start your sermon with a biblical verse where it's love your neighbor yourself, or you were strangers. I totally forgot it.
Yeah, I forgot too. But yeah, that's
like
true.
To show that contradiction or paradoxical worldview that they believe in versus they live it out.
Yeah, live action.
Yeah,
the belief system is not necessarily the way you live your life. You know?
Yeah, there's a disconnect there.
There's a disconnect. It's like the Catholic Church in a lot of ways.
Yeah, although we filmed in a Catholic church.
Yeah, we filmed in a Catholic church. Yeah,
tried to keep it very generic Christian.
Exactly.
And without talking about any tradition, because any local church could be different, and their main denomination and its belief system might be different because maybe their leader had issues or just forgot or got blinded by, here in our movie is more like politics.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not quite sure what I really would call the type of church I have. I would say it's probably closer to an evangelistic kind of
type. Yeah.
Because of the way it reacts to the political climate and the way that the story eventually unfolds toward the end. Mm-hmm. I think if you had a regular, everyday congregation, that sort of situation would never arise. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be some polarizing. There's a polarizing attitude that the church has that allows the final events to unfold. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't have in, say, a straight Catholic church or a straight Protestant, congregation.
The other thing I wanted to share with our friends here is I know you don't have a daughter.
No, just granddaughters now.
Yes. But when you were writing the script, you had a particular emotional connection with the story.
Yeah, I did. Interesting. Yeah, you put it that way.
That's what my take was. You were so invested, and I could see that.
You and I talked about that when we were first doing this, and about how do we get this woman who is interested in somebody that she thinks she's never going to see again, never get this guy out of her mind, essentially, which is really what the bottom line is. I mean, I think he, the way I portrayed him, probably didn't think about her as much as she thought about him. Yeah. And she, even though she wrote him off thinking that he got married, which he didn't, it was still far more on her side of the fence that there was an attraction going on there. But then again, she had the rift with her father going on, where that kind of gave her an emotional break that allowed her to put a little bit of more an emotional crush onto the other man, which I think is what allowed the flow through to the second meeting back in the United States occur on a little bit more intimate level as far as she was concerned.
And I think this is my way of looking at this story.
I mean, it's funny to say "I think" when I wrote it,
right. But also, when you write a movie screenplay, and then here comes me, and I am choosing the colors and the location. This scene should be outdoor.
Right.
This should be indoor. This should be filmed this way. We try to keep it very simple.
Right.
And then the symbolism, because the way I was looking at the movie was, say someone is just all about lovey-dovey love story and they want to watch that.
Right.
For them, it might be a movie about connecting with your true love, or twin flame, or different people use like, oh my God, my soulmate, whatever term they want to use. But you have to work on yourself. You have to go through a dark night of the soul. You have to fight your demons, because both the characters are addicts to two different things, right? And you have to watch that. So I'm not telling you what is happening, right? But then until they go through that working on themselves, and they are on the path of being healed and restored, and they have that space for the other person, they are not united.
Right.
Now, the other audience might have a total different take. They might watch a movie where a liberal daughter is not happy with her conservative belief system, and that's why she's having the shitty life, because she also had this
she had the break.
the previous husband, which like what's the phrase?
Kind of a
Kids use this as toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
We showed that too, right? And how money plays into the bigger city.
Right.
And without money, you can't do a lot of things. Right. And so then it's like a lot of legendary filmmakers like Tarantino would say, so this movie does not really talk about black and white, because this movie is supposed to be the movie of its viewer. Because some movie viewers, do we call it movie viewers? The audience members will have a total different take. Like Tony, my friend. So Tony was like, oh, I wish they had more like a Christian tradition. But our idea was to keep it loosey-goosey.
Well, I did my best, and to try not to have the characters be stereotypical. You know, like this guy, he hears this, and he believes this, and he looks like this, and this woman's father is this, and he believes this, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I mean, I tried to make them real human beings, you know, and imperfect human beings. So when you saw the way they interacted, you understood why there was a rift, or why there was an attraction there. And the fact that in pretty much all of the cases, there had to be an emerging of disbeliefs for the story to progress. I think it worked.
Yeah, no, I personally think it works.
I'm happy
well.
with it.
Because also Tony pointed out, which I loved. I don't know if he was criticizing like more like it wasn't great, or he was saying great. But I love to hear from another writer, accomplished writer, who said this movie did not have the kind of ending we usually see in Hollywood films, which I think he was probably referring to like happy ending.
Oh yeah.
Ours was still
In work.
we don't know fully, because the last scene you see, there is a group, which is family. There are three people versus one guy who was an outsider. He maybe became a part of them, but maybe not yet fully, right? So that's the way the real life is.
Yeah.
Real life is never black and white.
No, I mean, you don't even know, you don't actually know how any of the four people at the end, if any of it's going to work out.
Right.
All you know is that, this is where we are in this moment. That's it. Everything is ambiguous at that point. But we're going to try, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
I personally like those kind of endings. So I don't know, but because it's not a Disney movie where fairy tale, and it's not a movie you think you should take your first date to watch.
No,
It's a little different, right?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if ambiguity is always the right way, or necessarily a definitive way to end, a movie or a TV show or even a book. But it's real life. I mean, real life is not happy endings or sad endings all the time. Real life just continues, and you can't just continue a movie. It's got to end at some point, because a movie. I mean, some movies are stories. Yeah, you're doing a very specific, and there is a beginning, a middle, and an end for the most part. And then there's other stories that are, a cutout of life, and you see this happened here and this is here, but essentially the whole thing is just part of it. All you see is part of the journey. You're not supposed to see an encapsulation. This whole thing is a part of four people's journeys.
Yeah. And I think that's powerful.
I like it.
Yeah. So what about your friend? She saw, and
she saw the
what was emotional for her?
Last cut before the final one that you did.
So still,
you had sent it to me. Yeah.
That was before the 7 revisions for distribution.
Right.
That was still sort of rough cut. I don't know if the music was done or not.
The music was still rough. Okay. That's what she saw. And she really, really, really liked it. But she wants to see the final cut. Like, she really.
Any particular thing that she felt resonation?
The
whole thing resonated
with her, actually. She said. She thought all the actors were really good. She was crying, but she thought I was really, really good. Really, But then again, as I said earlier, I have no clue.
No, I think you're.
And I'm not. If you think I'm good, I'm not looking for any kind of evaluation.
No.
Even then, I won't believe it, so it doesn't matter.
There's an extended trailer around made, and it's on YouTube. So I saw a scene picked where you and Rob are.
That one where we're butting heads.
So that's great. I think it had the arc of your character. Your character we saw how you're with your wife, and your character is not stone-hearted, but I think your character maybe had the obstacle, that political obstacle.
Yeah.
In maybe, I don't know, but what if your character knew what you're preaching is the truth, but then these obstacles are also rooted in some fear because the daughter already had an unsuccessful relationship, or more than unsuccessful.
I could be a victim of my own beliefs.
Say it again.
Victim of my own
victim
beliefs.
of your own beliefs.
Yeah. So you have them for so long, you can't escape them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You develop them early on, and then it's all you know, or you may be going, but you're still trapped because that questionable part of you can't really let out. Because then it kind of destroys everything that you are living. Right? That, I think, is what's happening with him in a lot of ways. Otherwise, whatever it is that happens at the end, I don't think, could be there.
But do you believe a human who is not a narcissist or not mentally ill, clinically,
right,
will have a moment in their life where this guilt will kick in, or they will find the truth somehow?
I think in some people.
And those of us who don't have that, that's what they are running around us that we are scared of.
If you're
apart from the movie,
but I mean, if you're a narcissist, for example, you can recognize yourself as being a narcissist and know you are a narcissist.
So it's not that these narcissists, and I think we both know, we talk about
Right.
certain people we know.
Right.
And so it's not that they are unaware of their actions or their
Well, they could be, but I mean,
verbiage.
but knowing you're a narcissist does not necessarily mean that you're going to stop being a narcissist, because knowing a narcissist in a way is actually, I'm a narcissist. That's like, okay, so, you know.
No, I meant still,
you know
like,
what I
having
mean?
no remorse, because
Yeah.
if I am watching somebody and I was like, oh my God, they don't feel pain of the other person over
Yeah.
here, just like have no remorse. So that's what I am thinking.
Yeah.
They are narcissists.
Yeah. Well, there's another with trophicist or something like that, which is kind of like that, where you go even one step further, you know, where you have no feelings whatsoever. Narcissist is pretty much doesn't care, doesn't give a shit about, you know, anybody but themselves.
Your character, was he a narcissist when
No.
he starts a sermon, but he doesn't really want to invite someone or have someone over who he thinks might be some sort of terrorist of a Muslim background?
No, he's not a narcissist. He's what's the word?
He's more than ignorant, right?
No, well, in a lot of ways, he's ignorant because he hasn't really tried to get to know the culture at the very least, and doesn't even want to attempt to know the person. You know, so, and he's not really a narcissist because he does believe in other people and what other people feel. You know, and he feels other people's emotions. So he's definitely not a narcissist. You know, what he is definitely is a charismatic leader.
But he has some sort of fear, right, toward the unknown.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, which is why he grasps onto what he does within the texture of the church. You know. And you know, the not liking her boyfriend, the not liking the guy I want to meet him, is in a sense of fear of the unknown. I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about his culture. You know, I mean, you know, all the people of his color are, you know, bombing our country and you know, they're blowing down our buildings and stuff like that. So that's where that narrowing of you know, vision, you know, that we have in the country right now happens. You know, everybody who's brown is bad.
Right.
You know, it's so far from the truth, it's pathetic. But, you know, it's like a bullseye, you know, and this guy happens to fall in the bullseye, and his particular pattern of thinking and what he's doing to his congregation falls within that bullseye.